Welcome to this week's Stampin' Fun Friday. This week I have stamping with masks and some Copic coloring to share with you. I'm just showing you all the cards I made in this card set here. They're all very similar. They just feature different animals from the October Afternoon Farm Fresh set and maybe a few different colors, but all have pretty much the same look to each of the cards. What I did was I stamped this animal on the background. I'm just showing you one of the finished cards now. And then I made a mask for the image and stamped the Hero Arts cloud background stamp over it. It's a very simple technique, and I'm just going to share how I did it with you. So this is the Farm Fresh stamp set from October Afternoon, and it has some cute like little play on words, greetings, and then several cute little animals. So for the example I'm going to share with you in the video, I'm going to use this cow stamp, and I'm also using this Fiskars stamp press that I talked about earlier in the week. It's something I'm using a lot of right now, and I'm just going to show you how easy it is to use. Because I'm going to be coloring in this cow with some Copic markers, I am going to use the Memento Tuxedo Black ink. It's just one of the inks recommended for using with Copic markers. So I'm going to make sure I got that inked up really good. And then with the stamp press, you can see it holds it up on those little foam feet, so I can center it just where I want it and then push it down. And I like to just push in the center to make sure I got the whole image. So it stamped perfectly. I love that you're able to kind of hold it over your paper, center or position it rather right where you want it, and then push it down on those little foam feet. To create the mask, I like to use just some sticky notes, and you want to see where the sticky part of the sticky note is because you want to make sure you stamp your image to create your mask kind of where it's sticky, so you can stick it right over your stamped image. So there I have stamped it on a sticky note, and just to save time, I've already created one that I used on the other cow card that I created for this card set. You can see it already has some of the cloud stamping on it, but it can be used multiple times. And I'm just going to position that right over the image I stamped earlier on the white cardstock. Then I'm going to take this background stamp from Hero Arts with the clouds. I use it a lot. It's one of my favorites. And I am going to use the Tumbled Glass Distress ink from Tim Holtz. I really like this color of ink. And I'm going to stamp that right over my cow. And then you can see when you lift up your mask, your cow doesn't have any of that cloud background on it. Okay, to save time, I am speeding through my Copic coloring, but I'm still going to show you, you'll see the whole thing just to see how I colored in this cow. I started with the R20 to color in the udders, and then for the body of the cow, I'm using E55, it's called Light Caramel, and I'm just filling in the majority of the cow with that color. And I'm moving my paper around as I go and just filling in all of those areas. And you kind of want to go in little circles to avoid any lines that you might get when coloring with markers. For the horns and for the little nose part of the cow, I'm using E50 Eggshell. And then for the darkest parts of the cow, which are the tail tip and all of the spots, I'm using dark brown E47. And I'm just filling in all of those with that dark brown. Again, moving pretty quickly, kind of working in little circles to avoid any color lines. For the shading on the cow, I'm using Light Walnut E57. And I'm just kind of going in certain areas and just adding light little feathering strokes just to add some shading and stuff, and you can see that looks pretty awful. So you want to go back with that lightest color, that the one that I used to color in the majority of the cow, the E55 Light Caramel, and you just want to blend that all in. And I'm just going over the whole thing really good, working it in. And you can see as it starts to dry that it really does add some nice shading and effect to the cow. And then I'm going back over with the clear glitter pen to a few of the areas on the cow. Now I'm just using some glossy accents to add a little bit of glue to the eyes. As cute as these animals are, I really don't like the eyes on them. I think they're kind of vacant looking, I guess. And I really like using googly eyes on cards like this that are more whimsical and fun. And I found these really cute, like half-lidded ones at Hobby Lobby. And so I thought these would really make these animals kind of come to life. And I really think they add a fun touch. A whole different look than just the stamped image. So there you can see what she looks like now, all stamped with her cute little eyes. I rounded the corner of this piece, and now I'm just adding some black soot distress ink around the edge of it, just to add a little definition to it before I add it to the background of the card. For the base of the card, I'm using this light green cardstock. I think it's Spring Moss, I believe, from Paper Tray Ink. And then I'm going to use this graph, or graphic background I think it's called, from Hero Arts. It's one of their newer stamps. I love this. I use it all the time. And I inked it up with some crushed olive distress ink. And I like to lay my card on the stamp and then turn it over and press it in really good. And you can see there's the background all stamped. I have another piece of white cardstock here, and I'm just going to use this wood grain background from Hero Arts, and it's a little different. They have several wood grain backgrounds. This one doesn't go all the way to the edge, and I wanted that for a few reasons. You can see it kind of leaves a nice little edge there around the card, but I think that's too white. So I'm going to kind of do a tone on tone, and I'm going to take that scattered straw ink and work it around the edge of the piece, and you get a nice tone on tone with that wood grain. And now I'm ready to add my greeting, and so I just kind of lay it out there on my table, and then I'm taking my Fiskars stamp press and adding the greeting. Then I'm just going to take some black ink it up real good, and again, the great thing about the stamp press, I can move that around and position it right over my paper where I want it, and then stamp it in place perfectly. Kind of stuck a little bit. There we go. And you can see what a nice impression I got. Cute little saying. These are the Martha Stewart fringe scissors, and just to save time I sped up my cutting. I cut them once and then I went back and cut in between each again, and I'm using a couple different colors of green cardstock just to make my grass a little bit more fun and interesting. And then I'm going to fringe it all and take my scissors and kind of trim a few of those, the little, well, it's going to be grass, just to add different layers and dimension. And then I'm taking that crushed olive distress ink again and inking up the edges. So once those are all inked up really well, I'm going to go ahead and adhere those to the bottom of the top piece of the card, right below the little cow. So it looks like it's standing in a field of grass. I'm going to adhere the lighter color first, kind of pull some of those blades of grass up a little bit, and adhere the other one, and then I'll just trim off the excess. Now I'm just going to position these on the card to kind of see where I need to lay them out, and add a little adhesive behind the top piece to adhere it to the bottom where the greeting is. And now I'm taking a piece of ribbon, and this is also from Paper Tray Ink. I believe it's the Lemon Tart. I think I got the name right. I don't have it right here in front of me. And I just tied it in a bow on the front of the card and trimmed the ends. I really like this. This is the saddle stitch ribbon, so it has that little bit of white stitching on the edges. And then I took a button and threaded some jute string through it. All of these products also are from Paper Tray Ink, and tied that around the center of my ribbon, and then positioned the whole embellished piece to the front of the card. And that was that. For more information and the supplies, please visit my blog on July 2nd.